and he's going to introduce some of his staff who will make the presentation for you, to you.
First of all, I'm Sheriff Wendell Beam, and I'd like to thank the commissioners and the county manager for allowing me to come speak to you this morning. Our reason for the presentation is that we've had a lot of concern and questions from citizens in the community, and they want to know about the gang activities in Griffin-Spalding County. And the information that we want to present to you today is basically to inform you of what's going on in your community. At this time, I'd like to introduce Agent Sam Jones and Investigator Tony Little. Agent Jones is assigned as a narcotics investigator with our sheriff's office. Investigator Little is assigned as a crime scene technician along with our sheriff's office. They have received numerous hours of training in gang investigations, and they've done this because they have an interest in it. They see that there's a problem, and they have started moving forward here in the past couple of years. And they do it as part-time. They do it because, like I said, they know that there's a problem out there. And they are doing it now on a part-time basis because their regular assignments consume most of their regular hours at work. We started as a part-time thing, but the problem is gangs are full-time. We're responding as part-time. That's not going to work. And we just want to let y'all know what's going on in the community. At this time, I'll turn it over to Agent Jones and Investigator Little and let them make the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, again, just a little bit more about myself. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 14 years. During that time, I've received over 100 hours of specialized gang training and also gang investigations. I am a member of the Georgia Gang Investigators Association and also a member of the the Gang Enforcement Unit, also known as G-Force. On April 30, 2012, through the Griffin Judicial Circuit, I was deemed a gang expert.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Jones. I'm a special agent with the Spalding County Sheriff's Office. I've been employed with Spalding County since 1995. Since 2001, I've been assigned to the narcotics unit, where my primary job is narcotics investigation. I'm also a member of the Georgia Narcotics Agents Association, and I've received 24 hours of specialized training with gangs, and I'm currently actively pursuing more training and education for gang activity.
All right, so what is a gang? The definition accepted on a national level and also used by the Sheriff's Office is this. A gang is a group or association of 3 or more persons who may have a common identifying sign, symbol, or name, and who individually or collectively engage in or have engaged in criminal activity which creates an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. And that definition actually comes from the National Alliance of Gang Investigators Association. All right. This is the identification criteria that we use to what we call validate a gang member. An individual is identified as a gang member based on verifying at least 3 of the following and is involved in criminal activity. If the subject admits being in a gang or gang membership association, if the subject is observed to associate on a regular basis with known gang members, has tattoos indicating gang membership, wears gang clothing or colors or symbols which can be identified with a specific gang, is in a photograph of known gang members and or using gang-related hand signs, if his name is on a gang document, a hit list, or gang-related graffiti, if the subject is identified as a gang member by a reliable source, if they are arrested in the company of identified gang members or associates, corresponds with known gang members, or writes and receives correspondence about gang activity, or writes about gangs with graffiti on walls, books, paper, or etc. Just some of the active gangs that we have identified in Spalding County. Of course, I'll go ahead and tell you now the blood gangs. A lot of those have now consolidated. A lot of them now were under the Rolling 20s. If I'm not mistaken, West Side and South Side Bloods are now actually part of the Rolling 20s, so they've gotten bigger just in the last few weeks. So you can see we have roughly 4 or 5 blood gangs. There's 3 that we've identified, Crip gangs, 4 gangster cycle gangs, and we've now seen an influx of white gangs, or the Aryan Nation, Aryan Brotherhood, the Ghostface Gangsters, which is a large prison gang. Matter of fact, they just got, there was just a case run against them as far as running the scams out of prisons. I believe Newton County ran a huge operation against them. And also we have several members of the Down South Georgia Boys. Gang mentality here in Griffin, Spalding County is one of violence and crime. In the past 3 years, so going back to 2012, there has been roughly 66 aggravated assault cases, 97 shots fired, 7 homicides, 86 simple batteries, 7 aggravated batteries, 52 affrays, which is fighting, 24 armed robberies, 94 batteries, 179 residential burglaries, 69 criminal damage to properties, 210 criminal trespasses, and roughly 520 arrests involving narcotics, all in known gang areas and by known gang members. The scary part about these numbers are, just going back to 2012, taking into account like the aggravated assault cases, they believe that in that time there's only been 174 total in Spalding County. So you're looking at roughly half, and it's the same way on every one of these. It's right at 50% or higher for every case we run. And these are just the numbers out of the county. That's not including, what the city deals with, and also what's not been reported to law enforcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, there have been several gang surveys conducted, and what most of the surveys show is that criminal street gangs often assimilate themselves into society by joining civic groups and becoming part of local government. This is a trend whereas gang members gain intel from inside the inner workings of local government to report back to their gangs to figure out if any committees, civic groups have any plans or any notions to help or try to stop street gang activity. So you would get someone who's not tattooed, who's not pierced, who's well-groomed, well-educated, and well-versed inside the community that knows everyone, and they sit amongst you, gather that information, and feed it back to the gangs. Also, criminal street gang activity have the propensity of becoming members of law enforcement, fire, and EMS. What better way to tell them what's going on is if you have someone wearing a badge, helping people, and have that information ready at hand. And all they have to do is pick up a radio and call in for it. Criminal street gangs also have associates who are not marked by tattoos, piercings, and gang colors, such as your average student, a kid who's an AB honor roll student, goes to school every day. That's the kid the criminal street gang needs to do their dirty work. They don't want them tattooed. They don't want them sagging their pants. They don't want them cursing. They want them educated. They want them to stay in school. They want them to graduate. And at the same time, when they're at the park, at a social gathering, some type of meeting, that person will conduct some of the illegal street gang activity. Gangs have also used juveniles, as we're all aware, to commit certain offenses. Most of the old gang members who have sort of a 3-strike rule against them, they don't want to run the risk of going to jail. What better way than recruit the younger crowd? It's more enticing and exciting to a younger child because they don't have the concept or the capability to understand risk. So you get that person, put them out there in the environment to do most of the activities that the street gangs are carrying out. Gangs are also encouraging women to maintain government housing. The reason they want them to maintain government housing is to avoid and evade arrest from law enforcement. They don't want anything associated with them as far as an address where law enforcement can track them down. They can use a girlfriend, cousin, anyone where they can find refuge and safety. Criminal street gangs also host neighborhood activities, such as 3-on-3 basketball tournaments, sort of a let's come together community type organization where they have face painting, bouncy houses, music, and etc. It's sort of a Robin Hood effect. If these gangbangers throw money into the community where they're cooking, playing music, having face paint, the kids and the families are just coming together, what better way to be protected than to have the same community that you're violating, not have the police coming in? They won't tell on them. They won't rat them out, because if they do, then they won't put on a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, or they won't have a big cookout like they did before. The drawback to that is, if you're a criminal street gang in this neighborhood having that activity, what do you think the other street gangs are going to do that don't like you? They're going to come to that neighborhood, create a disturbance, cause violence, and innocent people will get hurt. So it's not a win-win for them. It's not a win-win for anybody. Criminal street gangs will also use senior citizens assisted living facilities. Grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, older brother and sister who's disabled, who lives in assisted living communities. They'll use them to seek refuge to avoid arrest from law enforcement. No one would think to look there, but these are the trends and surveys have shown that this is some of the things that they're doing. Criminal street gangs are telling associates to keep clean criminal records so they can acquire gun permits and purchase weapons. The average person who has a clean record has no problem with law enforcement, can apply for the permit, buy as many weapons as they want. When it comes time for each gang to have some type of rival, what better place to go than to that person with a clean record, use their guns to commit the crimes and return those guns back to the people when they're done. There's no throwaway guns found on the street. They go back to the rightful owners. Criminal street gangs are becoming more involved in sex trafficking, not just with young girls, but also young boys. These teens don't have to be transported from one place to another. My personal experience working uniform patrol, I was involved in a case where a local hotel here was involved in sex trafficking. These teens are being pimped and pandered to people from outside the area. So you would set up shop in a hotel, put it on Craigslist, Backpage, whatever CD website that these deviants go to, advertise what area to come to, pay the pimp or their normal street gang, have sex with a minor, and leave. That's going to become a problem. Criminal street gangs are also involved in dog fighting. We're well aware that a lot of people own dogs, but this is a way to make money when their drug sales aren't good. You get together with your own street gang, or you may arrange it with other street gangs to have your toughest dog fight their toughest dog. The only drawback to that is we know this. If one dog loses the fight, someone's going to get mad, holler foul, guns come out, there's a disruption in that activity. Criminal street gangs also get involved in white-collar crimes, such as check washing, identity theft, account fraud, credit card fraud, and mortgage fraud. A lot of criminal street gangs have realized if they're going to go to prison, why not go to federal prison, where they have access to a computer, a cell phone, and luxuries to continue the criminal activity that they're being charged with. Well, most of us know you go to your local city and county jails, there's no phones allowed inside the jails, or no way of communicating other than through letters. They don't want anyone reading the letters. So what better way to do it? Commit a white-collar crime where you go to get federal time and continue your criminal street activity that way. Criminal street gangs also using collegiate and professional sports teams as well as NASCAR logos and numbers to identify themselves. It's not just about colors. It's not about colors. One street gang may wear canary yellow, but if the Kansas City Chiefs represents their gang name, they're going to represent that logo. If their number is 24, they're going to use the NASCAR jackets to represent that gang. It's not simply because they wear a specific color, but college team, NFL team, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, any professional teams, they'll use those. You see a like-minded group of people, that's what you'll see. Perfect example, the Zoo Crew here in Spalding County, their color was red. Now, they have what they use the Chicago Bulls logo. Chicago Bulls colors are red and black, but there's a problem with that. Gangster Disciples have black in their street colors. So what they've done was, okay, we won't wear the red in the Chicago Bulls, we'll wear blue Chicago Bulls, we'll wear green Chicago Bulls, but ultimately, the acronym for Bulls stand for Bloods, Ultimately Living Life Strong. That's the message they're trying to get to you. And that's the message they're trying to throw off with law enforcement. Well, we're not wearing red, but you see everyone standing on the street corner wearing something Bulls. You have to understand the acronym. So why are they wearing the bulls? Bulls got red in it. No, this bull is yellow, it's pink, it's green. But their logo stands strong. Bloods ultimately living life strong. So this is a way they can stand out and identify themselves from the other gangs. Here's some examples of that. We all know that Chicago Bulls, that's Michael Jordan's number. The Paisley pattern is a blood pattern. That's what represents the Bloods. The Chicago Bulls mascot, they decided to take the mascot and put a bandana over it to ultimately recognize their gang. The ball caps you have here are various ball caps with the red being the Bloods, black being the Crips and Gangster Disciples. And the dark ball cap in the back, that's going to be your Latin Kings. All represent New York, but all representing a specific gang based on their pattern, style, and color. You have here, average bandanas. They've taken them, turned it to a 6-point star. That's your Gangster Disciples. Young man at Pitchfork, that's actually being sold online. That's representing Gangster Disciples. Some people say it's not, it's just Pitchfork. That's their creed, that's their motto. The young lady here, pardon my language, on the back of her shirt it says filthy bitch. On the front is her picture with a bandana covering. She's representing Gangster Disciple. She is proud to be a part of that gang, that she would degrade herself in this manner. She's doing it for the gang. Gangs as an enterprise. Gangs are currently making money in Spalding County by selling drugs, of course, marijuana, crack, cocaine, meth, Molly, ecstasy, etc. They're also doing it by committing burglaries, robberies, home invasions, and selling a part of the things that they've stolen. They're also doing this by selling guns. They are involved in the gun trade. That's a way to make money. Gang's ultimate goal is to make as much money as possible. One of the gang members has been quoted, they're gonna live hard or die trying. They live by it. They're gonna live hard or die trying. A lot of you gang members are now entertainers. Their gang falls under a record label, some type of music group. They use rap videos, CDs to sell it, and they've done so here in Spalding County. We've had several artists come out. I work part-time at the Red Door. They'll come out and they'll friendly hand out the CDs. They're not representing gang colors, but hey, buy my CD, or hey, check out my CD, check out my CD. And a lot of those CDs, if when we listen to them, we pay attention to them because they tell of things that they have done or will do in their music. They call out their streets, their sets, their homes, the areas of the town that they live in. And they want people to feel that pride in that side of town. If they're on the south side of Griffin, they want people to know that the south side is strong. If they're on the north side is strong. They want, and the kids today will listen to it, you'll hear it right around. It's not your Lil Wayne and it's not your big $1 million rappers, it's your local rappers that are handing out the CDs, getting the message out. Sort of a, not necessarily a brainwashing technique, but more of a, hey, listen to me. Listen to what we have to offer. Come and join us. We're a rap group. We're a rap group. It's a really large rap group.
All right. Since 2010, 61 individuals have been arrested and charged under the Georgia Street Gang and Terrorism Act with a total of 71 gang charges. So what it tells you is some of these people have been arrested twice and charged under the Gang Act. Up until about 2 years ago, we finally got an ADA that was, she really likes to push the Gang Act, and she's had several go to prison just in the last year being convicted under the Gang Act. In 2014, 61 individuals were arrested as part of a RICO Act case that involved several known members of the Zoo Crew, which is the Blood Street Gang located here in Spalding County. And for anyone who doesn't understand what RICO is, it's the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act, which is basically, we have now shown you as a criminal enterprise, and that's how you're working as, you know. They're trying to get above street gang status. They're actually trying to become, you know, they want to take over all of Spalding County. Their goal is to eventually make Spalding County, quote unquote, a red state. and not, we ain't talking about Republican, we're talking about completely blood. There's a map, I believe y'all have one in front of y'all. We couldn't get one printed up big enough in time. All the yellow dots signify validated gang members. These are the ones that we have, through, the identifications and through the Georgia Department of Corrections can say without a doubt that these guys are gang members and belong to a specific street gang. All right, so speaking on that, there are currently 147 validated gang members by the Georgia Department of Corrections from Griffin, Spalding County. What that means is as these people were in prison, they sat down with the STG officers, which is the street threat group, and through questionnaires they fill out. I don't believe Brian Perry's here. Anyway, through a questionnaire they fill out, these guys basically come straight out and say, yes, I'm a member of the Bloods, I'm a member of the Crips, I'm a member of the Aryan Nation, I'm a member of, the Aryan Brotherhood, and that way that, because in prison, if you don't admit to being who you are part of course, if you get put into the wrong cell, just like out on the street, you're gonna have problems. All right, out of those 147 that are validated by the state of Georgia, there are a total of 330 known gang members operating in Griffin, Spalding County. That number could and should be larger. However, like the sheriff had said earlier, myself and Agent Jones, with our primary, job, it's hard for us sometimes to actually sit down and be able to take stuff and look at it. And also through social media, you have several people now who are openly putting it out there that they remember this gang. However, they use their street names and whatnot, and a lot of the stuff that we haven't been able to figure out who's who and put a name with the person, and we don't just want to say, well, we're not going to guess and say, well, okay, this guy's a gangbanger, this guy's not. The scary number to me is credible information through a source of information that's been used on several known, several cases. Has put the gang population somewhere between 700 to 800 total, and roughly close to anywhere between 400 to 500 Bloods alone are here in Spalding County. And on top of that, we know for a fact our zoo crew here are rolling 20s, Southside Bloods, whatever you want to call them, Southside rolling 20s. We know that they have sets or connections from Savannah, Dublin, Albany, Augusta, Clayton County, Decatur, Fulton County, Atlanta. There's actually a zoo crew set that's in New York. There's a zoo crew set that's in New Orleans. And the best part about it is Griffin, Georgia is known as the motherland. Matter of fact, I have a video here in a second where I'm going to show you we're not going to say any names, but I'll actually show you who is the OG, without a doubt, the leader of the zoo crew, and he is from Griffin, Spalding County. So in retrospect, the number I found from 2014 was the population of Spalding County was 64,073 people. So if you take the numbers that we have, just over 1% of the population are gang members. I believe it's equal to like 1.247% or 1.25%. There's only 98 certified officers at the Spalding County Sheriff's Office. So that's roughly, you have 12.25% more gang members than you have deputies, or for every one deputy, we're facing 8 gang members. Gangs are constantly recruiting. They want to increase their numbers so that when they do have a problem with rival gangs, they'll have a better chance of winning. When we have gang members in the community, they are always recruiting. There has been way more recruiting among middle school and high school age children over the past 3 years. I'll just give you an example. A few deputies, we work part-time jobs at an establishment that teenagers frequent on a regular basis. And on any given Friday or Saturday night, you can see groups of kids in there. It could be 12, 13, 14 years old, running around throwing hand signs, gang signs, wearing gang colors. Of course, we deal with it. They're expelled out, can't come back. But we're seeing this more and more. And also, I've got a video here in a second. I'm going to show you that most of the kids in the video are still middle school or freshmen in high school. Touching on what Agent Jones said just a minute ago, they're musical artists, athletes, and actors that are non-gang members. that make being a gang member, look cool when kids call in to seek out street gangs or even start their own street gangs. Which was one in the neighborhood that's basically what they did. They started their own Bloods gang. They call themselves, they're 9 Trey Bloods. They wear blue, red, and white, and they're trying to exhume the persona of violence and whatnot, just to kind of get themselves on the map. These are just a few examples of some gang culture and activities we have here in Spalding County. With pictures. Maybe a little bit fuzzy, but this is a picture of our zoo crew. That is just one little snippet, and they were actually having a party at a park where they were cooking out. They were, matter of fact, it's actually done on a basketball court. We got some more pictures, but there's some stuff on there that we just can't show right now. That picture there, this one kind of tugs at your heartstrings a little bit. The oldest kid in that picture is 15 years old. You see them, they're throwing up, they're throwing up B's and W's for Westside Bloods. They're wearing the red to show that they are Bloods. I'll let Agent Jones explain this one.
What I've learned from other credible sources and from the FBI in Atlanta, the Blood, the Crip, and Folk, which is Black Gangster Disciples, have come together in Atlanta and call themselves BCFN, which is the Blood, Crip, Folk Nation. The gentleman sitting in the middle with the black is a gangster disciple. He's throwing up pitchforks. You have a gentleman to his right behind him. He's a Blood member. He's throwing up his blood set. And the other two are Crips. Doesn't make sense. But, as Investigator Little pointed out, it's about winning. If you can consolidate your gangs or come to a common agreement or come together as a much larger gang, it's about winning. When you say winning, you want to win your rivals. You want to be the bigger gang selling the most dope, involved in the most street criminal gang activity you can be involved in, and spread and cause intimidation in your community.
The reason I show you this picture, I know the Blood Crip Folk Nation is operating mainly out of Atlanta, but the subject here on the right is actually, we know who he is. He's been identified. He is from Spalding County. So that's another problem we're running into. That they are expanding. Like I said, we know that our guys, they have connections outside of Spalding County to the point where, in a minute you'll see, they actually make threats to bring other folks to Griffin if there are any problems. Here's a little bit of graffiti. This was done up in Northside Hills, Spalding Heights, however y'all refer to it. But it was right after the zoo crew swapped over from being Third Coast Blood Nation to the Rolling 20s. They're letting everybody know that they're Rolling 20s. That was on the back of the sign. You see the CK. Of course, the C is marked out, which lets you know that they're Crip killers. This picture was done on the side of, I believe it was B building in the Spalding Heights. And I know it's hard to see up there, but on the top you have where it says Rolling 20s. RIP Quad, something named Quad Hooker, who got killed up at East Point in a gang shooting that went bad after a dope deal. And I had first-hand knowledge of that case. It was actually assisted at East Point with trying to build a gang case. And then below the Rolling 20s, you have Damu Lamu, which is Swahili. Damu meaning blood or lifeblood. Lamu is actually a island that's off the coast of Kenya that was settled by the Swahilis. The Bloods like to use the Swahili language. It started out in California in the prisons because they wanted to confuse law enforcement. Because I'm sure no one in this room can speak fluent Swahili. So somebody walked in and started speaking that, we would have no idea what was being said, but they could pass their messages back and forth, call for hits, launch attacks however they wanted to, and no one would know what was coming. This photo we got off of a social media site. It's our Gangster Disciples here in Griffin, Spalding County. And they were actually having a little, it was their G-Day party. Every year, Atlanta hosts a large G-Day party. And believe it's usually around May, June, somewhere in there.
Right on school life.
It's right about the time school gets out, the summertime. This picture here was taken off of the subject's social media page. It was one of the pictures that was actually used against him in court. He just got sentenced to 30 years in prison, and which one of the charges was the Georgia Gang Act. Here's some pictures that was taken on a school wall. It was wrote, it's by the Crips. And y'all, please excuse my language, but there are some harsh language in these next few slides and some videos we're going to watch. So I don't want to offend anybody. If it's going to bother anybody, now may be the time y'all want to step out or close your ears. On the wall, it does say, it says Blue Flag. It says fucking Sugar Hill. The 600 block, which the 600 block is the main numbers that our Crips here use. It says Crip or Die, East Side. They have, it looks like D15, and it's marked out. I'm not really sure what D15 is, but anytime you have something marked out on gang graffiti, that usually means there's either some type of retaliation or it's a sign to quote unquote kill somebody. And then of course you see the 6-point star down there with the C in the middle standing for Crip, which they use the Crips follow the folk nation on the gangster cycles. One of their main symbols is the 6-point star. Here's a house that was up on the north side of the county that was spray painted up. Of course, they spray painted east on the garage, CERT 13 on the windows of the car, and it caused some other damage around the house. Again, you see it, Crip Gang with the 6-point star with the C on it. And this was in a notebook pad that was written, that was recovered. You got East Side, they've got a crown with the C on top of it, which, saying he's a Crip king. And then of course, what we're seeing a big influx of is the Aryan Brotherhood. This was the screensaver for a guy that we had arrested. Of course, you can see the swastikas in the middle. You've got the eagle from, or the bird that was used by Nazi Germany. Got the Iron Cross tattoo, or an iron style cross tattoo, which is one of their main symbols. 3-leaf clover with the AB in it stands for Aryan Brotherhood. And you've got the lightning bolts, the Hitler lightning bolts, or the SS lightning bolts. And 2316 is one of their main codes that we can get into another time. All right, again, so these videos are rather harsh. So we're not trying to, but unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with. The video here was shot at a location.
What's that?
That was just, hang on.
Yeah, shit right now.
Officer Jones, this video shot locally?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, man, you don't get.
Maybe. Let me pull it back. There we go. I'll get that one back up. Let's go ahead. While y'all doing that.
This video he's about to show, the Griffin Police Department along with Spalding County Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant at the address on East Central Avenue. It's known as the Penthouse. So these are some of the local people from that area in that video.
Man, come to the spot, man. Fuck with it. I can get you my little bird. I'm so dropped out. I can get you plug and get you murdered. I'm so dropped out. All my partners started from the dirt. I'm so dropped out. Everybody around me got that right.
notice the clothing he's wearing, what we call now penthouse clothing. It's a way to identify or to, I guess, to advertise that, hey, you know, we're from the penthouse, and everyone knows the penthouse belongs to the Crips.
So this is the video.
I mean, this is the actual video.
You'll notice in the video, small children being a part of the culture. The sad part about it is those kids are wearing red when the game's colors are blue. This was just an opportunity for those kids to feel like they were a part of something. In this, that house that they filmed out of, we arrested 10 known gang members out of that house. We recovered 2 weapons, narcotics, and money used for residential gambling.
Ain't gon' play, ain't gon' shake, ain't gon' bake in them trenches 5 days.
They sell these tapes? Is that where they make money selling these tapes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's also on social media websites, and they go out and hand these videos out. The gentleman who's singing in the video, convicted felon, known gang member. He is not a gang member if you ask him. He is merely a rap artist promoting his music. Trapped out means basically, I'm a drug dealer. I'm a drug dealer. When I'm so trapped out, I'm a big drug dealer. You tell he can get you Molly, he can get you coke, he can get you weed. He's counting money, he's counting his profit. He's glorifying his criminal street gang activity. And like I said, the sad thing is there are 2 small children who shouldn't even be near this, looking up to that, possibly aspiring to be just like him.
All right, and we're just gonna do snippets of these videos, because if we sat here and played some of these videos, like I have one that's 25 minutes long, I'm gonna kind of jump through it. This was the video that we actually used to where I was named, or got me classified as a gang expert. Just through it, we actually convicted a juvenile that had shot another juvenile at Calvary Park. And he's in the video.
Was it surveillance, or was it something?
This was
a
actually-
copy of a production that they made?
They produced it, they put it on YouTube for the whole world to see. It's a behind the scenes video shoot they were doing. But this is actually, you know, without a doubt, this is the actual mentality that we have.
Soon as I walk in, hey, for real. Y'all already know what it is, AOV-TV, nigga. You come on, poppin', nigga.
That's the way they throw it, the E for East Side.
Real good, man, you feel? Hey, Trey, get my ass up. Turn on, man. Real talk, real, man. Hey, Cook ain't this street. You already know. Fuck this street.
You can't really arrest anybody that's throwing up gang signs. You have to catch them.
Right. The way the gang law reads is it's not illegal for anyone to be in a gang. It is illegal for you to be a part of a gang and commit a crime. That's the unfortunate thing, because if you read the definition of it, the Boy Scouts could be classified as a gang because they wear the same type of clothing and stuff like that. However, the difference is the Boy Scouts aren't out here selling crack. They're not out, you know, doing armed robberies. They're not in the flat shooting at people. They're not riding by a house on North 9th Street, you know, firing 47 rounds into a house from an AK-47. And in the video, I don't know exactly, there's a guy that actually does what is known as a crip walk.
I would like to know if you have videos of Aryans or skinheads or anybody else doing anything, because everybody I see up here are people of color.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, and I'm not trying to pick on people of color, but the Aryan Nation, they don't, most of theirs is, they put out a lot of, they have a lot of CDs they have out. It's called, you know, slam music, and it's very hate driven. Which that's why I mean that's why we call them their hate groups. And we know for a
Yeah,
fact
but
they're
I'm
hate
just
groups.
saying the picture that you're painting here is a one-sided picture, so I'm just wondering.
And
you
no,
know.
ma'am. Well, and I hate that you see it that way. The problem is
That's what I see.
I understand that, but our area, the Aryan Nation around here aren't they're not putting videos on YouTube. I'm not going to pull a video and show it to people from the Aryan Nation from, out of Iowa or North Dakota or North Georgia. My goal, or not really my goal, but my thing is, I'm trying to show stats and stuff that are happening here. We know we have white supremacists here. We know we have Aryan Nation, we know we have Aryan Brotherhood. But they're not putting it out there for the sole fact of they're still outnumbered by the other street gangs. And again, it's that whole rival thing. We've got 3 or 4 over here, we got 4, 5, 6 over here, 8, 9 here. They may all come together, but if I'm running around, with 2 buddies and we're trying to cause ruckus over here in this neighborhood, it's not going to do me any good when there's 75, 80 of those, of the Crips, and not 3 members of the Aryan Brotherhood. They're not as in your face. They try to, like the Ghostface Gangsters are very behind the scenes. Their big thing is, green dot card fraud. They want to call. They're the ones that are calling saying, hey, you missed your court date. There's a warrant for you. I need you to go to the store and get $500 on a green dot card. Call me back and give me the number. And they're portraying themselves as law enforcement officers. I'm Sergeant such and such. They try to stay low key because they don't want the idea of law enforcement being around them. They don't want. They just don't throw it to your face. And I apologize that it's coming off this way. By no way is that what I'm trying to do.
A lot of the videos that were taken or viewed are from areas where law enforcement has received calls in reference to just high volumes of crime. Once again, your residential burglaries, thefts and damages to property. And we try to counteract that with strong, heavy law enforcement presence, whether it be East Side, East Griffin, Brooks. If there's ever an area that has an excessive amount of high volume of crime, the sheriff's office is willing to go out there and do concentrated patrol and other efforts to ensure that the people in those areas and communities are safe, and that we are watching the activity and taking note of what's going on and actually what's trending. Why are there so many residential burglaries in this area? What's the contributing factor behind that? Is it merely a gang activity, or is it merely someone with a substance abuse problem? But once we conduct those investigations, we're able to identify what we have and address that issue at that moment.
Question. You had mentioned before about how they actually go out and they recruit, and how they're actually going through social circles to actually find out what's going on. Has the team worked opposite? Have you actually had somebody that's gone into them as far as their gang, whatever, and kind of see what they're doing so that we can? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But have you thought about that, or has that even?
I don't know if we've thought about it. The problem we run here is most of our investigators and our agents are known, so it'll be hard for us to try to go undercover. What we do usually too is get somebody that's on the inside to talk. In some cases it works, in some cases it don't. We got a lot of information just a few years ago from someone that was on the inside after a loved one got killed, and she suspected that certain street gang had something to do with it. They proceeded to come forth with a lot of information that we didn't know that we needed. So a lot of times that's what it takes, or, you catch one of these kids that are out doing something that's, 14, 15 years old, and you start talking to them, and you get them to realize that, this isn't what you want to do. And then they may come off and tell you, okay, well, this is how my recruitment process began. This is what I had to do. This is what they wanted me to do. Whether it be they wanted me to do a drive-by on a house, or they wanted me to go out there and sell, $250 worth of, crack, or what it may be. That's where most of our intel comes from. But it's hard to gather because, like the sheriff said, I may put in 25, 30 hours in 2 weeks doing crime scenes, going to work burglaries, residential burglaries, commercial burglaries, inter auto, stuff like that, which takes time away from, doing the gang stuff. And then when I do, I'm not trying to make this a pity party, but then when I do try to catch up on gang stuff on the weekends, of course it takes time away from my kids. So it's kind of a revolving door of, do we let the gang stuff slip a little bit so we don't lose family time? Or do we let the gang stuff slip so I don't, get behind on my actual job? Because we have so many days to finish a report on a case that we work. So I've got to get that done within a reasonable amount of time. But while I'm trying to do that and make sure, the family's happy, we may fall behind on our gang intel.
Also, to ask one question, the sheriff's office is thankful for concerned citizens, people who've had enough and who want to take pride and take the communities back. We're very appreciative with the calls and tips that we get to help us do our job. There may be something that we didn't know about. They'll call us and let us know. We'll investigate that matter, that issue. If it helps to solve the case or close the case, we're very receptive to that. It's to quote unquote infiltrate. It's going to require a lot of tact, but a lot of concerned citizens have called us. They remain anonymous. We don't ask any questions. If they point us in the right directions, to help us close or solve a case, we greatly appreciate all that effort.
It comes back to what the sheriff started with. It's hard to do a full-time job with part-time resources.
Yes, sir.
I want to show one more video. I'm going to skip the other two music videos. This is the one I was telling you about where we, and this came from the prison system. And this is the OG of the Zoo Crew, basically giving away they're making a bloodline call.
And this is from a cell phone that got snuck inside state prison.
And when the second guy starts talking, that's where you get the connection of the one
You already know what going over this, you motherfucker. We have a brother home because a nigga going away, you understand me? You already know where your brainiac, maniac, bloodified, stat, OGB that. You hear me, Southside Road, 20, that NHB me, man. You understand me? Mad gang, my campaign, blood gang. Woo, phone me. You know what the hell going on. Woo, woo. I ain't gonna talk your head off. You other homies just trying to speak too. I'm letting them know that you woo, woo.
I'm talking about Billy 20 gang, man. Breaking me niggas from New York. Bust y'all niggas ass, get out of line with the big dog. Fuck you, man.
Man, y'all already know this goddamn OG Mark Pyro Buck, man. Y'all mean from that new spot, ready to get out and put this tool on the something, man. Fuck them niggas, man. Y'all already know it's fucking with the twin in the Billy and my other young homie right here. He's so cool, so fuck you. Eat on y'all suck ass nigga. Fuck you, fool. He was that dog shit on he went in the dip set.
Man, yeah, Goobers, took down.
All right, the gentleman who's on your left is the OG. The second gentleman that's talking about being from New York, he's what they call a Billy Blood, or in the blood culture, a Billy is quote unquote a badass. He's one that will do your shootings, he'll do your jumpings, stuff like that. He's kind of like the enforcer guy. The other guy you heard, he's from Noonan, which shows that our Zoo Crew has connections in Noonan. The last guy was from Dublin. He's also claiming rolling 20s. So that shows, we have a connection from Savannah up to here, going up to Atlanta, and even farther north than that. Like I said, the information I got from a very credible source of information was is that there's roughly alone 500 Bloods that operate out of Spalding County, with Northside Hills being, quote unquote, the motherland. And I also know too, we also know through the FBI, which we haven't seen it here yet, but the Outlaw Motorcycle Gang, which is a large white gang, that deals heavy in a lot of meth trafficking and violent crime, especially against law enforcement, is their plan now is to take over the South, which is including Georgia. And we do know there's a clubhouse in Jackson. There's a clubhouse up in, I believe it's Kennesaw, North Georgia area. And we have a sister outlet here that operates out of Spalding County. It's not completely full-blown outlaws, but they are outlaw supported. So it's only, the question is when it's coming. It's only, how long before it's here. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and close it out that, no more videos. So we appreciate y'all's time. If y'all have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, as well as Agent Jones.
Did you have a couple more slides on your presentation?
Actually, I think I did. Thank you for reminding me. All right, and of course, in closing, and this is how I end every class, whether it be if I talk to the teachers at Calvin Road, whether it be Carver Road, or through one of our deals where I taught some kids in a youth group. I always say, denial will cause our gang problem to become a gang epidemic. Unfortunately, a lot of people think, hey, we don't have gang members, or they want to be gangs. We have, a lot of what we have is hybrid gangs. People don't look at it as, okay, this is what we see on TV, whether it be like Sons of Anarchy or the movie Colors or stuff like that. That's not, that's people's ultimate perception of what a gang is. And